Stay. Okay, I think we're live. So today is stretch and strength, a little mixture of lengthening, a little bit of strength, building some muscle strength and then lengthening and enjoying some breaks. We have Pixel here in the studio today. Let's see how that goes. So far, she knows where bed is, but we'll see. So we're gonna get started. Oh, if you have a chair, grab a chair because we're gonna use it to help with some of the stretches. So come on down to your back. Land on your back. Take a moment to focus and ground. Find the position for your body where your low back is most comfortable. Maybe bring your feet to the ground with your knees up. Start to really land on the mat. So there's lots of difficult poses in yoga, but some of the hardest are the start and the beginning. So landing on your mat, grounding, and then letting go and grounding at the end. So start to really notice the parts of your body that are on the mat. Vicky, lay down. Start to notice the parts of your body that are on the ground. Start to connect with those parts of your body. Picky, come here. Come on your bed. Start to take a body scan, noticing what's going on. So noticing your feet, your hips, your neck, noticing your hands, noticing the muscles of your face, noticing your shoulders, and then bring your awareness to your breath. Maybe taking some deep breaths in and exhaling out of the mouth, kind of sighing out, helping you land on the mat in this present moment. And then for the next few breaths, try saying to yourself, I am here now. See if you can start to observe the tension from the day starting to soften. Beginning to let go of what's come before this moment and what might happen after this moment, and just landing in present moment in time. Giving yourself permission to just land on the mat. Picky, come here, honey. And then bring your knees in and give yourself a little hug. Maybe even rock it. Take the feet up towards the ceiling. And wiggle the toes, circle the feet. Start to connect with your feet, your toes. Bring your knees back in towards the chest and take some knee circles. So take your circles out, and the knees out and then in. Taking hip circles. And then reverse your circle. A little bit of a tension in the core just to keep your back stable. And then take your feet back up to the ceiling. We're going to start to move and breathe. So land the shoulders onto the ground. Push the hips down into the ground. Push the rib cage down into the ground. So fire up the core. And then we're going to start to move and breathe with the legs. So inhale as you lower the right leg. Exhale as you bring it back up. Really firing up the core. Inhale as you lower the left. Exhale as you bring it up. So this is designed to generate fire in the core, generate heat. It's It's a cleansing movement, so you're supposed to generate some fire around the digestive area. And if you start to notice your back firing up, don't lower your foot so low. Keep it in the core. Moving with your breath. Complete a full round and then bring the knees in. Give yourself a little hug. Take the arms up towards the ceiling. Fingertips point towards the sky. Start to really engage across the chest. So you're engaging the chest, strong arms, and then take the legs to a hover. Really thinking about firing up the core, not the back. So you're going to hover the legs where the core is fired, not where the back is firing. So hover the legs, squeeze the legs nice and strong and active. Push the hips into the ground, rib cage into the ground. Arms up. If you're having trouble keeping this in your core, you can bring your fingertips to your stomach to help you remember to fire up the core. Get really strong, and then we're going to open the legs and close the legs nice and slow. Really using the core to keep you stable. And then if you like, you can lift the shoulders a little, lift the head, mindful of any compensation patterns in your neck. And then bring the knees in, give yourself a little hug. Reset. Land the feet on the ground, knees up. And we're just going to move and breathe with the arms. So taking the hands down by the hips. Inhale as you raise the arms up overhead. Exhale as you slowly push the arms down towards the hips. Inhale, lift. And exhale, lower. Starting to think and connect with your breath. Getting into the meditative movement of moving with your breath and having an internal experience. And then for the last one, think of something that you need to let go of. Inhale, fresh energy. And exhale, maybe push it away, nice and gentle. And then bring your knees back in. Give yourself a little hug. Roll on over to a side and come up to a seated position. Fine. Picky, come here, honey. Picky is running around. Come on up to a seat. Find a nice long spine. So thinking about pushing your hips down and sending your crown up. Picky on the bed. Over here. Getting really, really, really tall. And we're going to take little soft spirals. You can use this seat if you're more comfortable sitting on this seat. Taking little spirals through the torso. And then back the other way. Finding your breath, finding some spinal movement. And then bring your spine back to neutral. And we're going to take our chest forward and then exhale as we pull our chest backwards. Inhale forward, exhale backwards. So take this pretty soft. Just starting to feel your spine, connect with your spine. Checking in, looking at your compensation patterns. Noticing if you're yanking your body forward and yanking it backwards. Asking yourself the question, who am I competing with? Where do I need to go? And then we'll work the shoulders. So bringing one at a time, nice and slow, up to the ear. And then pushing it down, up to the ear and pushing it down. And then draw the shoulder blades all the way in, squeeze. And draw the shoulder blades all the way back, squeezing them back towards each other. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Find the muscles between the shoulder blades. Notice compensation patterns in the lower back. See, I had to adjust. And then pull the shoulders up towards the ears, still squeezing them tight together. And then back down, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And all the way up. And then we're going to come on over to a tabletop, a down dog, with the chair. So you're going to place your hands on the chair and work your way up to a down dog position. So hands on the chair, feet back, little bend in the knees, and then start to lengthen through the spine. So we're going to inhale, bring our torso forward. Exhale, lengthen, sink the hips a little. Inhale forward. Exhale, bend the knees, sink the hips a little. So we're really thinking about the lower back, not about the hamstrings right now. We're not about the back of the legs. And then come forward to the chair so that you can have a little weight in your hands and just start to adjust the weight in your hands. Feel your wrists, feel your hands. Moving left to right, just kind of feeling, taking weight in the wrists. And then feet underneath hips, knees bent. You're going to start to move through the back of the legs. So bringing one heel up at a time, moving through the feet first. Slowly connecting with the muscles of your feet, really looking at your feet and reminding yourself to be present in your physical body. Feeling the muscles that make your feet move. And then maybe taking a little weight onto the hands and coming up onto both balls of the feet at the same time. Bend the knees and then lower the heels. Notice any gripping in the toes. Try to soften the toes. And then land on both feet. Send the right leg back, trying not to move the hips. So squeeze the stomach, send the right leg back, and then start to lower the heel, and then lift, working through the back of the right leg. Nice and slow and controlled. Return the right foot, land on the feet, get the hips stable. Try not to move the hips, send the left leg back, and then lower the heel. Little pulses through the back of the leg. Return the left foot back. Come onto the balls of both feet, taking as much weight as you need into the hands just to keep you stable. Squeeze the stomach, bend the knees, and then move the knees out and in. Nice and slow and controlled. Moving through different angles of the ankles and the legs, and you don't need to lift the heels very high. Just connecting with the muscles of the legs and the feet, having an internal experience. Lower the heels And we're going to inhale as we rise all the way up, arms overhead. Exhale, bring your prayer down to your heart. Inhale up. Exhale, prayer to heart. Stand in mountain pose, hands of prayer, heart center. Connect with your feet, maybe even close your eyes for a breath. Notice all the little micro adjustments that happen as you stand on your own 2 feet. Try to soften the shoulders. Try to soften the face. Soften the low back, the glutes. And just stand. And grip the toes. Find the breath. We're going to bring our left heel onto the chair. You may need to step back a little, bringing your heel onto the chair. So set up first. Find your hips. Check in on them. Try to get them nice and even. And we're going to start to work the back of the left leg. So we're going to lean our torso forward. So get it long, long, long first, and then bring your torso a little bit forward, just until you feel the back of the leg. Try not to lock the knee. And then we're going to move the foot, pointing the toes and bringing the foot back. Experiencing the back of the leg. And if you prefer to keep this static, you find a place where you feel that nice opening and stay there. Otherwise, just keep moving through the leg. And then get really strong in the right leg, really strong across the hips. Lift the left knee and send the left knee past the right to warrior 3 without moving the hips. So keep really, really strong. Lift the left leg. Maybe come forward with the torso and find the chair for balance. Hold this left leg as long and strong as you can. So thinking more about the leg than any particular position, just finding the muscles of the leg. Breathe and hold the leg. Imagine you're pushing the heel further and further and further away from you, and your spine is getting longer and longer and longer through the crown of the head. And then we're going to bring this heel towards the left. Left heel towards the left, slow as you can, finding the muscles of the leg, and then back to where it was. Bring it forward to the left and back, slow and controlled, trying not to move anything else. Soften the face. Bring the left foot even with the hip, bend the knee, and we're going to pulse the heel to the ceiling. Again, trying not to move the hips. It's a little small movement, pulsing the heel towards the ceiling. Don't hold the breath. Right hip should be firing up. Right leg should be strong and active. Core active. And then hold a warrior 3 and maybe challenge your balance. Lift up off the chair. Bend the back knee and come all the way back up to stand with the left knee forward, legs strong and active, hips even. Hold it here. And then return the heel to the chair, torso forward. Find the back of the leg. This time hold. Soften the right leg a little. Picky on the bed. Stay. Picky on the bed. Picky. Good girl. On the bed. And then return the left foot underneath the hip. Bring your hands onto the chair and just pulse through the feet, lifting the heels nice and slow. Maybe feeling some differences left and right side. And then set up for the right side. Bringing the right heel onto the chair. Piggy, onto the back. Start to move through the back of the right leg. Good girl. So pushing the toes away from you and back. Trying to keep the hips stable, even. Watching for that right hip popping up. If you find a place where you'd like to keep this as a static hold, go ahead and hold it. And then bending the left knee, we're going to bring the right knee up, hold, send the right knee past the left, warrior three, and maybe find the chair with our hand, trying to keep the hips really even. Little bend in the left leg. Both legs are very active and strong. Hold. Send energy out through the right heel as if you're pushing the heel into something. And send energy out through the crown of the head. And then we're going to get really strong in both legs, really strong in the torso, and bring the right heel towards the right shoulder and back. Nice and slow and with control. Not flopping this leg around, bringing it nice and strong and back. My son's in the studio with me and my dog just left me for him. Hold the left leg even with the hip, bend the heel. Little pulses, again, strong. We're not throwing the leg around, finding the muscles in the leg. Left hip should be firing to keep you nice and stable. And then hold warrior three, little bend in the leg, engage the core, maybe coming up to float. Bend the right knee, come up, right knee forward, right leg strong, hold. Long in the torso, return the right heel to the chair, torso a little forward, and this time static hold, breathe. Trying not to push the right knee down, but find the back of the leg and either pull, imagine you're pulling the heel towards you without letting it move, or push it away. So two different actions with your muscles that can engage the back of the leg. And find that nice long hold. And then bend the knee, return the foot underneath the hip. Hands to the chair and pedal out the feet. Notice left and right sides. Cross right foot over left. Holding onto the chair for stability, we're going to lift the heels with our crossed legs. So coming on up, crossed legs. Changing it up just a little, nice and slow. Finding the muscles of the feet, maybe even keeping an eye, looking, reminding your body to be aware of what is going on in the feet and the legs. And then maybe coming up to the balls of the feet and sinking the heels, nice and slow and with control. Stomach is engaged to keep you stable. Maybe you can start to come and balance. And then lower the heels, straighten up the legs, and switch the cross. So left over right. And begin to pulse it out, lifting the heels, bending the knees. And maybe coming up to the balls of the feet and sinking the hips down, bending the knees, and maybe balancing. Strong torso, so really strong in the spine, sending strength all the way up the spine through the crown of the head. And then bring it back down. Uncross the feet and take them about mat width apart. And we're going to roll on over to the edges of our feet, nice and slow. Slow movements, feeling our feet. Maybe starting to bend the knees and take it more in a U shape with the knees. Finding our feet. And step the feet back underneath the hips. Holding onto the chair. So watching the hips. Hips are still facing the chair. We're going to send the right leg back. Land the right leg. So place the foot down. Finding your feet almost in a triangle shape. So finding your feet here. Place the right hand down on the chair. Get really long in the torso. Aware of your hips and maybe placing this left hand down on the hips. Watching for locking of the knees or gripping of the feet. And then turn the torso over to the left. So turning from the rib cage up, turn, engage, really pulling this left shoulder around, maybe starting to lift the right hand and engage the legs a little more. Return the torso back to center. Return the right foot back, pedal it out. Bending the knees, feeling the hips. Send the left foot back and land it. So about a 2-foot gap, 3-foot gap between the feet. So find the position where you can hold your legs and strength in your legs. So not worrying about exactly where this foot is, but holding a position with your hips neutral, facing the ground. Get really long in the torso and then turning from the rib cage up over to the right this time. So really pulling from the core, opening up, not pushing into this left hand. We're pulling from the core, opening up. Look for your compensation patterns. Watch the low back. Watch the gripping of the toes. Maybe you can begin to lift and float this left hand. Watch the back of the knees. Breathe. Soften the face. And then bring it back down. Step the left foot forward and pedal it out. Bring the forearms down onto the chair and begin to fire up the forearms. So move your legs so that you can have your forearms down on the chair. Your legs are comfortable, your hips are comfortable. Engage your forearms on the chair. So imagine you're pulling your hands apart. Now your arms and shoulders are fired up. Mindful of the neck. So find that position you can hold your neck steady without pulling into compensation patterns of the neck. Engage the stomach. And then send the knees bent, hips down. Send the hips down, knees bent. Still engaging, and then we're going to bring our nose forward, inhale, exhale, bring our nose back, send our hips down. Inhale as we come forward, trying to really engage those arms, exhale back. Inhale forward, exhale back. And then send the hips down and slowly lower down to the knees. So come on down to the knees. Feel free to place something underneath your knees if you have sensitive knees. Holding that engagement in the arms, send the hips back, little. And then bring the back of the elbow, so behind the elbow, not on the joint, onto the chair. Hands can be wherever they're comfortable. If you can have them on your shoulders, maybe up by your head. And then find the position where you can lower your hips down and feel the back of your arms. Breathe and let go. Come on back to a seated position. Legs in front. Place the heels down, knees a little soft and bent. Land on your hips, long in the torso. If you have short arms like me, getting along in the torso can be helpful to bring blocks here so that you can lift up. So this is an active pose. Legs are active, torso is active. So maybe you want to help your body know that you're going up through the crown of the head. Place the heels on the ground and then work through the feet, pushing the toes away and pulling the toes back. Feeling the back of the legs, feeling the front of the feet, still engaging through the spine. And notice what happens in the low back, starting to really have that internal experience. And then bring the heels down, legs active, toes pulled towards the shin. Not pushing the knees down to the ground, but feeling strong through the whole entire leg. We're going to lift the arms up overhead, so up towards the ceiling. And we're going to turn nice and slow to the left. So turning to the left from the rib cage up, turn, turn, turn. Then land your hands. Trying to keep that long, 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 tall spine and active base. So the feet and legs are still active and strong. Slowly bring the arms back to center, torso back to neutral. And then turn and twist towards the right, landing the hands after you twist. Legs still strong and active. Still thinking about getting longer through the spine. Breathe. Soften the face. And then bring it back nice and slow through center, lower the arms. We're going to take the right foot and cross it just underneath the left knee. So plant the left foot down, bring the right foot, cross just underneath the left knee, and then lean back just for comfort. So place your hands where you are comfortable. Land on, get a little strong in the spine, long in the spine. So still strong and active in the core. Try not to land on the tailbone. So long in the torso. And then wiggle this left foot forward. Maybe lift the toes, push the right knee away. So play with the foot on the right foot. Find the angle and activation of the muscles that makes this feel just right for you. Slowly lengthen the left leg, plant the right foot. And we're going back to that twist. So get really tall in the spine first. Maybe use your blocks to help you remember, tall in the spine. Land the foot, the left foot, right foot is down on the ground. really strong. So strong in the left leg too. Lift the arms up overhead and then turn to the right. Land the hands. Watch for pulling and yanking. Who are you competing with? Use the muscles of the torso to twist and hold. Breathe. Get long in the spine. Slowly unwind. Bring the right foot back to meet the left and take some little wiggles. Loosen, soften, let go. And then bring the feet to the ground. Right foot down. Cross left underneath right knee. And then lean back, not onto the tailbone, engaged. And then wiggle the right foot towards the glute. Activate the left foot, push the left knee away from you. So find whatever angle of the left foot makes this feel like the right spot for you. Breathe. Slowly lengthen the right leg and allow the left foot to plant down, get really tall in the spine. Maybe reminding you with your blocks. Really, really, really tall in the spine. Inhale, lift the arms. Exhale, twist to the left, land the hands, keeping the twist in the core, not by grasping and grabbing. Breathe. And then bring it back through center. Unravel and wiggle. Legs loosen, soften, let go. Maybe even pulsing. Come over crossed legs to a tabletop position. Taking a little left and right through the arms, through the wrists. And then land in a firm base. Bring the weight into the left arm, strong in the shoulders, strong in the chest. Take the right arm up, hover even with the shoulder. So now start to really engage through the core. If you like to engage your base too, you're going to imagine you're pushing your knees into the ground and then pulling them out. That should fire up the hips, the glutes, the legs. Hold and hover. And then we're going to take the right hand over to the left shoulder. So now we're going to bring the elbow down to right elbow down towards the left elbow and then open up. So we're really working the shoulders and the chest and the core. Nice and slow and with control, moving through the shoulder, not grasping the left hand. We're just grasping the right hand. We're just placing it here as a position for the elbow. If you like, you can just bend the arm and bring the elbow down. And then land the right hand through, underneath, thread it through. Place the palm of the right hand down. And then move the hips backwards, moving through the shoulders. Nice and slow, looking for that nice stretchy point in the upper back, through the shoulders. Having an internal experience. So not thinking about whose movement is exactly right, but just moving through your own upper back and shoulders. Seeing what feels right in your own body, seeing what feels good in this moment. And then come on back to a tabletop. Take a little left to right through the hands and shoulders. And then set up a nice solid base. Really strong in the right shoulder, right arm. Left arm hovers above the ground. So shoulder height, palm down, lift and hover. Watch for compensation patterns in the low back, in the neck, and in the face. Breathe. And then either right hand to right shoulder or just bending the left arm and bringing the left elbow down towards the right. So moving through the core and the shoulders. So really taking this into the core and into the right shoulder. And then bring the left elbow down, thread the left hand through palm down, and then take the hips backwards and just kind of moving through upper back and shoulders. Take the tension out of the neck, maybe even rest the head on the arm. And then bring the left hand back and slowly lower all the way down to crocodile pose. One hand on top of the other, forehead down. Shimmy the hips and let go. Find your breath. Releasing into the ground. And then we're going to bring our hands about even with our shoulders. And we're going to lift up, and this time not too much muscle strength. So we're just going to move through range of motion. So we're going to lift our shoulders a little. Turn our head to look at our right foot and let our left shoulder drop towards the ground. And then switch sides. Right shoulder comes down. We look at our left foot. Slowly just moving through the shoulders, as if we're trying to undo any compensation patterns, any holding patterns, undo the day-to-day effects on our body. Letting go of gripping in the shoulders and the neck and the low back, mindful of the compensation patterns in our low back. Noticing if you have them. And if you have, as you're moving through this position, any compensation patterns in your low back, experiment with maybe pressing the tops of the thighs into the ground or the tops of the feet. See if that adjusts any gripping. Just notice, have a play, have an internal experience. And then bring it on back to crocodile pose, maybe switching which hand is on top. And taking a couple of really deep breaths in and sighing out, truly letting go, loosening and softening through the shoulders, through the neck. And then roll on over to your back. So back where we started, landing on your back. And this is where we started. So take the time to notice what feels different. Notice how you feel physically. Notice how you feel mentally. Notice how you feel energetically. And then leaving your left foot on the ground, knees bent. Take your right foot up to the ceiling, trying to keep the hip grounded, and then send the heel towards the ceiling. So really starting to find the back of the leg, maybe drawing the leg a little more towards the nose, but watch for trying to bring this right hip up. Maybe you have this goal in mind where you feel like your knee should touch your nose. Just notice. So there are no right and wrong answers. It's okay to have goals. It's okay to want your splits or want a certain position or want a certain pose. The journey of yoga is about learning about the self. So if you're working on your splits, you really have a goal in mind, just know that about yourself. Know that you want to do a pretty pose and you want to have a certain position in your body. Getting to know yourself. But also getting to know, perhaps backing off and finding the back of your leg and connecting with it, connecting to what's holding it back, what's holding and gripping, find it. And then cross that right knee over the left. Bring the knees in towards the chest and bring feet to opposite shoulders. So activate the legs. You're looking for the glute area on the right side. And breathe into this space, softening in, letting go around this space. You can play with your feet or keep it static. If you're holding onto your legs, let go of your legs and let your shoulders come to the ground. Land your hands on the ground, palms up. Let your knees come back to about hip height. And then let your right foot, it's the one on top, come all the way over to the ground. So land it on the ground and wiggle around so that you can keep the right shoulder on the ground and the foot comes towards the ground. Maybe you need to bring your left hand to support. Watch for any pinching in the back. We're looking for having a little bit of a twisty sensation in the core and an experience of lengthening from the right hip to the right armpit. Breathe, take the tension out of the neck. Let the tension rest out of the shoulders. Soften into the ground. Slowly bring the knees back to neutral and unwind. Right foot to the ground. And take a little side shimmy with the knees and hips letting go, softening through the hips and low back. Land the right foot on the ground, knee up. Left foot comes to the ceiling and start to find the back of the left leg. Send the heel up towards the ceiling, really sending energy through the back of the leg. Maybe even drawing that left hip down. Check in on the rest of the body. Notice any gripping on the right foot, on the right leg, in the shoulders, in the face. And then cross left knee over right. Bring knees in towards chest, feet to opposite shoulders. Maybe rest your arms on your shins, hands on your shins. And breathe. Soften the shoulders. Soften the face. Land the hands on the ground, palms up, shoulders land heavy on the ground, knees come to about hip height, and allow the left foot, the one on top, to come all the way over to the left, leaving the left shoulder on the ground. And start to breathe into an opening on the left side body. A little mild twist through the torso. Soften the face. Soften the neck. Slowly unravel, bring the knees back through neutral. Left foot returns to the ground and windshield wiper your legs side to side, letting go in the hips and the low back. And then landing on your back. So option to bring your feet up onto the chair. So bringing your legs up onto the chair, like so. So lots of benefits for having your feet up above your heart. Landing your back onto the ground. Grab any blankets or comfort items you need and start to really settle in. Now begins the hard work. So starting at the feet, check in with the feet. Start to do a body scan. Can you soften around the toes a little more? Can you soften around the balls of your feet a little more? Soften around the ankles, the lower legs. Soften around the knees, including the back of the knee. Soften around the thighs. And let go of any gripping around the hips and the glutes in the low back. Start to soften, start to let go. And as you're letting your hips sink into your muscles, sink into the ground, perhaps take a moment to say to yourself, right here in this moment, all of my needs are met. Almost as if you're giving your whole body, your fight or flight reaction in your body, the permission to let go. And if you notice any strong gripping around your base or in your physical body, perhaps taking a moment to take in your environment. So really looking at where you are, noticing where you are. Notice any sounds in your environment. So noticing all that is around you, noticing the temperature of the room, the feel of your body on the ground, so that you can begin to really tell your fight or flight response to let go. Right now we can soften, we can begin to digest and rest. Start to feel those gurgles in your stomach, that's fight or flight turning off and digestion beginning. Celebrate those belly rumbles. Celebrate letting go. And for this moment in time, being right here, right now, and finding real, true rest. Soften the muscles around the chest and shoulders. And grip the hands. And grip the muscles of the face. Soften the tongue. Soften around the eyes and the temples. And bring your awareness to your right ear and imagine you could soften inside the ear, making more space and softness inside the ear. Loosening any gripping on sounds. Imagine the freedom of being able to hear completely and not judge whether a sound should or should not be there. And just noticing it and letting it pass on by. And then bring the attention to the left ear and imagine softening inside the ear, releasing any gripping here. Release control of your breath. Bring your awareness right in this space between the ears. Placing as much of your awareness as you possibly can right in between the ears. Finding the center of the brain. And as you rest your awareness here, notice that you can notice your thoughts. And then just as you ungripped around sounds, imagine ungripping around your thoughts. It is the job of the mind to fire. The brain just fires and moves. The fluctuations of the mind are its natural state. Our thoughts and our mental firings are only problematic when we restrict and fight. And spiral around trying to cognitively discuss what's going on in our head. So imagine sinking away from any gripping of the thoughts and landing a little bit underneath, right in the center of the mind. In a place where you can imagine observing them and watching them fly on by. And then begin to draw your awareness down towards your heart center, as if looking for the sound of your own heartbeat. Becoming quieter and quieter and more still. And whenever the mind draws you back up, kindly letting go, noticing that it's just doing what it does. And with compassion, just gently drawing your awareness back towards the heart center. Letting go. Journeying inward. If you have more time to take in your resting pose, please take as much time as you can, releasing, practicing watching the mind and then drawing inward. If You have to finish up at 60 minutes today. We are coming up on that 60-minute mark. And if your legs are up on the chair, really begin to move your feet. Move through your legs a little first. Maybe even take your hands to your thighs and take some circles on your thighs. Really just warming up, feeling your legs. And then gently bring your knees in towards your chest. Give yourself a little hug. And roll on over to a fetal position, whichever side is calling to you. Landing in a fetal position and connecting with this pose. So the fetal position reminds us of a time in the womb when all of our needs were met and we had not judged ourselves as negative or positive. Remember that spark of life, that heart center. And come to this pose to remind yourself as often as you possibly can that that spark of life exists within us, unchanged by our experiences, and unchanged by that negative little inner critic that we carry about with us. Connect within to this place as if recharging, peeling back the layers, finding your essential self. The essential self that vibrates in the same vibration as the universe, the stars, and other living creatures around us. It's a part of us that connects our bliss center. When we connect within to our bliss center so that we can share our bliss center with others. Peel back the walls that we build up around it. Get to know our essential self so that we may allow it to shine. And taking your time, coming up to a seated position and finishing your practice with your hands of prayer at heart space. Returning to the breath, returning to present moment and time. And completing our practice in a ritual, familiar patterns. Connecting within. And connecting with the fact that this gesture brings our left and right sides to meet in front of our heart, as if accepting ourselves as whole and complete, precisely as we are. May we all learn a little more kindness and generosity towards ourselves. The more that we learn to give ourselves and to wrap ourselves in compassion, the more easily we are able to extend that out into our community. Thanks for joining us.